go. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Facebook. Good morning, YouTube, you little beauties. I hope you're all having a lovely day, enjoying the freezing the sunshine. There's a parody of freezing the sunshine. And yeah, just being okay with everything. That's the most important thing, just to being happy with where we are. And if we're not, doing something about it, right? So today we are talking about communication. I just want to see if I can change this for you. I can't even change this for you. I want to look at you. I'm looking at you.
Yeah.
Looking at me and I'm looking all down and I don't know where I'm looking. I just want to look at you. So today we're talking about communication, me and Linda, and I think Susanna may join us if she gets back in time. So now more than ever in these times, it has been imperative to communicate. And it is an art. Communication is most definitely an art, because I'm so guilty many times of just, if I don't express how I feel to someone about a situation I'm in, or if something is irritating me or frustrating me, that not an anger, it's not an anger, the frustration, it's a frustration, it gets built up inside, and it's like drinking a cup of poison and expecting the other person to die or something, you know, like expecting the other person to react to it. And the only person that we're hurting are ourselves. And communication is so freeing. If we can actually share really what we think. But communication isn't just about what we want to say, it's about listening to what someone else wants to say too. And I think that's the most important thing, is listening. And I had someone get onto my post. I can't even talk today. It's been one of those days. I've still got building works being done. Can you see? I've had drilling. I've had the whole lot going on. Talk about communication or lack of it. But yeah, so someone posted yesterday that they said that they were really good at listening, but they never really replied or responded. So they were interested in hearing the talk and different ways to go about it. So with listening, the most important thing about communication, in my opinion, is to be very present. Because when you're having a conversation with someone, it's very easy to get distracted by external things, by your own thoughts about where you think the conversation may go, predicting the future, about a million different things all around you, rather than focusing on those words that are coming out of someone's mouth, or reaching out to someone and expressing how you're feeling at that time in the moment, how it's affecting you right now, being open, authentic and honest with someone. And also one of the most important things is most things don't come out of our mouths. It's to do with body language, isn't it? Body language and you know, the way that someone's tone of voice, you know, they could be protection, like with their arms folded or crossed, or, you know, irritated from the tone of their voice. You can just pick up on people's different energies just from how they are, without even having to see, even without even having to hear what they're saying. It's so powerful, our energy around us, what we are bringing to a conversation, to the table. So there's a million different things about communication that we can talk about. And I've always found, from my perspective, a really good way of doing a conversation, if it's an important conversation, is to be able to match someone's energy. Because if you can match, in NLP, we're taught that it's about mirroring and matching, isn't it? So if someone's sitting, you know, opposite you and they start twiggling their legs, or twiggling, is that even a word? So, or crossing their legs a certain way, or crossing their arms, or leaning in, or, you know, or scratching their head, or just something, you can mirror someone, and it gives a connection of a real connection, of that you're listening to them, what they have to say, because it's so important. It's a two-way street. We have to hear each other. And so yeah, communication, I don't even know where to start with this, but I just thought I'd say there's been plenty of times in the recent that I've had to, well, it's challenging at the moment, isn't it? That I've just needed to reach out. Talk to me, Linda. Talk to me.
Okay. So as it happens, I just did a course, a 4-part course on my lives on my page, Total Life Makeover, this week. So I've got my notes from it, from what I wanted to teach. I'll keep it shorter than it was on the page. So if anyone finds benefit from what I'm saying today, go to my page, Total Life Makeover, and watch the last 4 lives. So the first thing that I can say about communication is that the one who leads the conversation is the one with understanding.
Oh, nice.
And that understanding needs to be about yourself and about your conversational partner too. And it has to be an understanding of what's going on. Because you're right, and I've called what I often refer to what I do as the subtle art of whatever it is we're doing. And these are the subtle arts of communication. And and it is important. Communication is so important because relationships depend upon communication, don't they? If you've not got communication skills, your relationship with your children, your partner, your work colleagues, your boss at work are going to be affected. Mm-hmm. So that's why I feel it's really, really important. It has to be the subtle art as well, because, so I'm not, in my videos, I'm not teaching really fierce controls or anything, because these are some of that you want to use these with people you love. And I used to, in the dim and distant past, I used to teach women's self-defense. And
wow, I never knew that about you.
Yeah, I did. And
you're amazing.
And streetwise principles. So wow. And they had to be appropriate for the situation. Yes, so it's fine if you've been attacked by a stranger down an alley. It is fine to stick your thumb in his eyeball. Absolutely. But what if it's your date who is going a bit further than you want them to go? You don't want to blind him, do you?
There wouldn't be a second one, that's for sure, would there?
Wouldn't. So so it needs these subtle arts. And you can start. So how you start is you've I didn't include listening at all. I was focused on what we can do to lead the conversation. Yes,
yeah,
but
that's cool. It's different.
Absolutely important. Yes, is listening. So you start with encouragement. If I was looking at where conversations may go wrong is when you've got a different viewpoint. And start with encouragement. Start by saying you're right about something, some tiny thing. And if you think they are entirely wrong, then you can at least say you're right to have thought about this. If you start with you're right, we love being told we're right, don't we? You're right. Do you remember in the NLP, on the NLP course, that's right, that's how it would be used. Exactly. That's right. Yeah. It's soothing, it's like honey. So start with you're right. And I've had to develop this during this coronavirus malarkey. I have had to develop my skills for Facebook because they were inadequate. I was bullying and shouty and telling people they were stupid at the beginning of it, which is entirely inappropriate for a therapist. So I need to have better skills. And I'm really pleased with where I've got to. So start with saying you're right, but so you're right. And if you can say, yes, you're right to be concerned about blah, blah, whatever they've said. And then you can offer some of your softer alternative views. Yes. So you say, but what I'm thinking about is this. And by doing this and offering, and then there'll be a back and forth, and you're not threatening, and they love it on Facebook when you are not threatening, you're not rude. A person that will respectfully debate with you, and I feel that too. If someone will respectfully debate with me, I love that. If you're saying, no, you're entirely wrong, what an idiot you are, who's going to enter into that? And this applies in your family too. You know, if your partner comes in and says, right, this is what we're going to do this, that, and the other, and you're entirely opposed to it. If you start calling him an idiot, you know,
you shut off, don't you? You shut off and you close down. That stops that communication.
Absolutely, it's game over. And I call this. I call this course the inner game of communication, and it's game over if you start doing that. Yeah. So you can start offering your soft alternative ideas, and then if you've been nice to them and you've praised their ideas, then they will listen to you and they will start. And what happens is, it's delightful. What happens is, they begin to feel able to explain a bit more why they're worried about what they're worried about, and therefore why they think this should happen. Yeah. And you can get an insight, and you can begin to see, you might not see that this should happen, but you begin to see why that person thinks what they think. And then you can offer yours, and they begin to see what you can think, why you think what you think. And this builds a bridge between you. And the amazing thing was, once you've built a bridge and you're both standing on the center of that bridge, you can then present your way out alternative views, and your listener will accept it, not necessarily agree with you, but it will cause no problem between you. It's been amazing.
It's like, we all have common goals, and it's finding that common goal, focusing that we have that in common, and our views, we're entitled to have different views, and that's the beauty of being a human, that we do have our own perspectives on life. But it's understanding, it's listening, understanding, maybe put yourself in their shoes, what they're seeing through their eyes, you know, and understanding, and once you have those common goals, then it's that connection, that you can build upon.
It's an amazing connection. And when it's happened with me, and sometimes in very short conversations just out in shopping or something, when it's happened, when I've done it right, or sometimes I've started wrong and then I've apologized. And the other thing is, an apology goes a long, 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 long way. You must feel that you're sorry that you started wrong, but an apology. And I found myself in brief situations where I feel as if we're best friends. You know, she's wonderful, this woman. And I assume it would feel the same the other way around. So that's your starting point, I believe. Start with listening, yes. Yeah. Yours is the starting point, and then you go on to being encouraging.
That's right.
Of their position, and if something they say triggers you, just end it there, because it's going nowhere. It's going nowhere at all.
Yeah.
If you are triggered, if you become angry, if you become out of control, because I don't call it controlling the conversation, because we can't control what the other person does, but we can lead them how to behave. And once you are triggered, you have got no ability to choose the best ways. You're unresourceful, aren't you? You can't choose the best resources. So that's really important. And also, excuse me, we train others how to treat us. and we train it by how we behave towards them. So if we are loud and shouty and abusive, saying they're stupid, that's a stupid idea, then we are saying this is okay to converse this way.
Yeah, that's right. Susie.
Is she with us? Oh, good, good, good.
Look at
So the next thing is to be precise and use only the truth.
yeah.
No mind reading. So
That's true.
if it's your let's say it's your partner who says, "Are you putting the kettle on?" and it just takes you wrongly because you're tired and you've just cooked dinner and you've got the washing up to do and whatever, and you could easily say back,
No.
"You think I'm just here to cook and clean, don't you?" Well, we've made that up, haven't we? We have just made that up.
Yeah.
It is not. It is quite likely not the truth at all. It's not the exact truth.
You know what? Humour is such an important thing in communication. Like exactly in that situation, if you can throw a little bit of humour into a conversation where you're feeling kind of prickly, if you can throw humour on it and you're putting out the water over the fire, that can just completely dilute a situation which could otherwise in turn become a problem.
Yes.
You know,
if you are able to. So humour is a resource, isn't it? So if you're able to choose a resource,
it's that trigger. It's that being able to control the trigger where you feel that initial thing wherever you feel it in your body when you're getting that frustration because someone says something to you that's really got your back up, and you're like, you can feel that trigger. Now that's the point. If you can just get there and switch it, recognize it and switch it, knowing that, because there are many choices to make and there are many outcomes to a situation. But it's recognizing, I mean, we can carry on with the same old patterns and we'll get the same old outcomes.
We'll get the same, exactly the same. If we carry on the same, we'll just get the same. And remembering about training the others, you will literally get the same as you're putting out. Yeah. So sometimes there are situations, of course, where you might have to deal with something with your children or with your partner within your family, or even at work. You might be being treated or spoken to inappropriately, and you do want to deal with it. So if you're not mind reading, what do you do? I have a clever trick. So what you do is you say, and these are the only words you need to say. You say, when you say, "Are you putting the kettle on?" It makes me feel, not you, it makes me feel as if you think I'm only here to cook and clean. Now, you've not accused, you've not blamed, you've presented what it's like for you. And that cannot be argued with. No one can tell you don't feel that way.
No.
It's really important that you say it makes me feel that, and not you make me feel when you do that. And that's my bit of magic when you've got to tackle something because it's happening over and over and it's making you, and you believe it is wrong. You believe, because we're not all of us just right all of the time.
Putting the focus onto the object rather than the person, so it neutralizes a little bit. So
yes, because what you want, we don't want to be opposite each other, in opposition to each other, do we? We want to be shoulder to shoulder with the problem in front of us.
That's it.
That is the way to tackle. So that point there, is really strong. Don't make stuff up.
No.
Do not make stuff up.
Prediction. Susie, can I just say, I love your hair.
What's she done with her hair? Is it different?
Well, actually, I didn't do anything. That's why I like it, because this is how it's naturally curled. So I usually straighten it, and this time, and it's a bit rainy, and I went outside, and that's why
Oh,
It
it's lovely.
went back to curls.
Oh, it's lovely.
Thank you.
How are you? Are you okay?
Yeah. Well, I had an appointment, so I made it just
Yeah.
on time, but I can't connect on Facebook on this computer, so I had to run upstairs, get the link, and come back.
I'm so glad you're here with us. We're just talking about communication, right? That's what we've been doing a lot recently, isn't it? Communication. It keeps me sane. I don't know.
Like communication in general, or just
everything to do with
in general.
Well, look, have you got any hints and tips on?
Yeah, well, I think communication, like we've learned in NLP, it's I think it's through NLP that I learned the most how to communicate efficiently and to pass the message through. Because if you remember, what we learned is that in any conversation, and I know many people don't like this word, but in any conversation or exchange in any way, like either between a company through marketing towards its market or between two people, there's always a process of manipulation. And I know people don't like that. They don't like to think that they are manipulated, but we are always manipulating each other into a state or another. When I say manipulation, it's manipulation. That means I can drag you into my mode, or you can drag me into yours.
Yes, I agree with
I can motivate you into feeling better, or you can put me down.
Yeah.
And it's not just because, communication is not just the words that you use, it's also the body language and how you create the report. So I have a very good example, and that was that I use it all the time because it was so clear to me. I put it into practice because there is a formula, there is that recipe that you can use and apply it to pass your message through. Because what do you want from communication? You want to pass your message and your message to be heard and understood and picked up in the correct way by the other one.
Yeah.
We assume that everybody wants to do that. We leave alone the manipulators and the narcissists and the big companies that want to make you buy no matter what. Let's say that it's an honest message that you want to pass through. And so the best way is to create rapport, and that is to if you don't have that physical ability to do it, it's by repeating their words. And just to give you an example, I was working at a spa. It's a spa that I work with, and we used to go regularly. And one day I had forgotten that hot cabin, the one that you warm up the towels. I didn't unplug it at night. And the next day, the cleaning lady was very, very sweet, and we became very good friends after. She was somehow the boss. You know how cleaning ladies are. They are the boss of that territory. You don't contradict the cleaning lady. And so she came into the room, the massage room where I was, and she says, last night you forgot the hot cubby on or plugged. It was not on, it was plugged. And she also told me, and you're not supposed to pass through the ladies' room because sometimes there are clients there and you don't do that. So, the first reaction is like, okay, why would I listen to the cleaning lady? I mean, not even the spa manager comes to tell me that. But then I remember and I said, okay. So she said, you forgot the hot cubby on. And I said, I forgot the hot cubby. She said, yes. And I unplugged it for you. And I said, you unplugged it for me. Thank you. And all of a sudden, all that, she's like, yeah, no problem. If you want, she says, if you want, I can check every night when you go and I unplug it for you. And what happened there was, one, she felt listened to.
Yes.
She felt appreciated for what she did. She didn't want to impose her order, but my first reaction was, how come she dares to tell me what to do? And I knew I was in the wrong. I mean, I should have unplugged that thing. And so she was happy because she felt heard. I unplugged your cubby, and I said, you unplugged my cubby? Thank you. Wow. I thank you, because I mean, it's a genuine response, right?
Yeah.
And after that, she suggested that she would do it for me every night anyway. And after that, she says, by the way, you can pass through the ladies' rooms.
That's it. That's right. Because words we have power.
We have that power to bring somebody into a better state. And if you remember and train yourself enough to do that extra thing, go that extra mile to appreciate that person first and hear them, then you can get your message across. And I didn't even say that I wanted her to unplug the cabin, but they come up with solutions, because everybody, genuinely, I think everybody wants to help somebody else.
Yes.
When we are the two of us and I see you dealing with something, I would, like a human being, would like to be of service to you. Everybody has that, more or less.
Yeah.
So when you create that space of understanding and appreciation for who you are, then I want to do it. And this is the best help you get, when you allow them to manifest that genuine willingness to be of service and of help, rather than, hey, you have to turn off the cabbie for me every night, you know, you're the cleaning lady, you know. and it's so cute, because after that, then the communication started. She was bringing me chocolates, I was giving her little things, and she would come and talk to me about her problems, and then she would ask me about treatments, and you know, and that happened in Spanish, okay, because I was in Spain. I couldn't speak much Spanish, but I was trying to repeat the words as she was saying them. So very, very interesting.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing.
It's
Sue.
funny, actually, 'cause
Amazing.
when Coastal, like when my boyfriend, sometimes if he'll start, if he's had a bad day and he'll say something like, just picky, you know, picky, I will repeat what he says back to him as kind of like a jokey kind of turn, like a tone kind of thing. And he'll realise what he said then, because sometimes people say things out of their mouth and they're in such a weird place, they're saying it, and when they hear it back, they think, that's a bit stupid for me to say, you know. So repetition is so powerful, isn't it? It's like, it's just, it's like putting a mirror up to someone and going, really? Are you sure about that?
It seems to me as if she could have had a dream of how Susie would have responded. That's what I'm saying to you, because I can see Danielle, that's all. If she could have had a dream about that, of how it would go, what she was wanting out of it, that's what it would be, isn't it? That is what it would be. That Susie just said, oh, I did this thing.
Yeah.
Oh, and you helped me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Exactly.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Most of people want that. They want to feel seen and appreciated. Everybody wants to be appreciated. Nobody likes to do things. We don't do things because we want something in return, but we all expect appreciation and respect for what we do. And she was in the right, you know, and I was in the wrong, but I got what I wanted, that she does it for me.
You got that connection, you got the bridge.
Yes, it's that bridge, isn't it? I'm not sure you were on the call, Susie, when I was talking about the bridge. When you start the conversation correctly, and you start with encouragement and appreciation, yes, encouragement and appreciation, even if you're on the opposite side of the viewpoint, you've got a different viewpoint. If you start with some way of showing that person that you understand them, then you're best friends. Yeah. You're absolutely best friends. Yes, that is why she would want to help you, isn't it? Because she would feel that feeling I felt when I've done this, a lovely warm feeling here in your chest about how wonderful this person is.
Yeah. It melts, doesn't it? The protection layer melts.
Yes, it does.
It's wonderful. And that's the thing is, we really all can do this, because it's like in feedback, when you do feedback with someone, like in NLP we taught this, but it's kind of like almost a common thing anyway, that you start off with a positive. You start off with a positive, and then you can say what your thoughts are, and then you end with kind of like a positive again. So I really liked how you did blah, blah, blah. However, if you looked at it through these eyes, what do you think? And then, you know, like, so you're starting on their you're starting up there with them. You're starting even on an equal basis.
Starting equal.
And then you can bring your points in, and then end with a question like, so what do you think about that? Or, you know, and then you're opening up that conversation, open ending, rather than a yes and a no answer. Because if you can do that, and if you can expand a conversation, you're going to expand people, what they're feeling and their real inner thoughts. They'll be able to be open with you, and openness, that breeds communication. So we need that. And that, you know, it's being willing to open up to that and to be able to learn as well, because communication, we're learning all the time. I mean, I learn every single flipping second of every day. I pretty much know nothing really, but like, I'm really open to learning, and I don't think that I know anything. I don't think I know everything. I'm happy to learn.
Yeah. So have you heard of is it concave, convex mirroring?
Oh yeah.
So I used this when Lucinda was in her teens and living with me, and so she was probably about 15, and she would go into my bedroom and take my tweezers and take them in her room, and then they were gone when I wanted my tweezers. And I would ask her, have you had my tweezers? No, I would say, you've had my tweezers. And she would say, I have not. And then in a month's time, when she tidied her room, there were my tweezers. And the other thing she used, it came to a head, it drove me wild. And I made ridiculous threats and said, do not go in my bedroom. You are not allowed in my bedroom. Well, I couldn't stop her going in, could I? And then one day she began using my mascara, and it was a hypoallergenic mascara. So I was paying a bit more for it than I would like to. And she was using it up. And so it is convex. So I read about this convex mirroring. So I said, today we're going to talk about the mascara situation. And this is what we're going to do. Because so she flopped. Oh no. And I said, this is how we're going to do it. Would you like to go first, or shall I go first? I'd explained what we do. And she said, no, I could go first. So whoever goes first explains how it is for them. And then you say to the other, can you feed that back to me?
Oh, nice.
So I said, it just seems to me, when you do that, it just seems to me that you don't care about me at all. You don't. I've bought that mascara and I want it there. And she'd take the mascara out of the bedroom as well, and it would be under the bed. And I bought it and I want to use it when I go to it. And it just seems to me you don't care about any of that. And so she fed it back, not correct, a few times. And then you can stop. You can stop and say, no, what I said wasn't. So you encapsulate it in a sentence.
Yeah.
And then finally she fed that back to me. And so then it was her turn. And neither of us had understood each other. Then it was her turn. And she said, well, when you go on about your mascara, it seems to, and how expensive it seems to me you don't think I'm worth expensive things.
Oh,
so we had a solution. I said, I will buy you that mascara, that very mascara. She was just working, she was 16 and working on a pittance in an office. And I said, I will buy it for you. And when you've run out, if you can't quite afford to replace it, I'll help you to buy the replacement. She never touched my mascara again.
Yeah.
Never.
That's a beautiful thing. That's absolutely beautiful. And the thing is, in this situation, this time that we're living in, it's challenging for a lot of people, with partners or with teenagers or with kids, but it feels sometimes that there is no escape, because some people are just living on top of each other, and it is a very stressful environment. But just by opening that window of communication and being able to give yourself, there's another way you can do, you can speak to each other. Say someone speaks for, say, 10 minutes, and 10 minutes is a really long time. So you can talk for 10 minutes and the other person's listening if you can focus, and then you talk back for 10 minutes and you're listening, and you have that away space as well. So you're literally focusing in on what the actual problem is. If you can do that, that's quite powerful, although quite challenging, because talking to a teenager for 10 minutes, well, I can imagine. But just having that mutual respect and being heard, isn't it? And being understood.
It starts, doesn't it? It starts. It actually starts. I had missed that step out in my live course this week, but it starts with being heard.
Yeah.
That's what it starts with, listening and being heard yourself, doesn't it? That's where the subtle art of communication begins.
Susie?
Yeah, well, I think that the first step would be establishing rapport. That's something that everybody should learn, because this is the most powerful thing. And the more you do it, the more you get into, you're doing it automatically. And this is something that I've learned by having an interview with one of my my beautiful minds, Laura Spicer. She's doing voice training actually through NLP. Fantastic work. And she was mentioning this, that we actually, in the process of learning, we're moving from, let me focus to say it right, from unconscious incompetence to unconscious competence. So you are doing something, you don't do something and you don't know you don't do it. You don't know how to do something, and like driving, for instance, right? So there's a point when you don't know that you could drive, then you realize that you can't drive, but you want, you become conscious that you have that, you lack that skill, and then you start learning, and so you're doing conscious driving because you learned how to do it, and then just happens that you just go in a car and do your things and you don't know who's driving there. So this is the unconscious competence. So by practicing the report, what I can say, because it's since what, it's been 4 years now since I've trained in NLP, I realized that I can get into a report with somebody like quite fast. I think I just got to be unconsciously do it, and I tune into the person and I feel her, and I know. And it's funny because I feel I have these thoughts in mind or images in mind, and when they talk, I realize that actually I picked up on them. Yeah. So to that point, so the communication can move from a very rough and unconscious incompetence where we're just struggling all the time to pass messages through, and we're arguing and fighting, where we can get into this wonderful experience of an exchange, a real exchange between two people, which can happen when the two nervous systems are in tune, and they are like in tune with each other. Then something fantastic can come. And I'm thinking, as a Christian, as you would know, Linda, when two people come into my name, I'll be there.
Yes, I will be
expand there. That into just the presence of two people when they are tuning into each other. That energy is there, that light is there, and that because we're part of the same thing. So when you start to communicate at that level, then wonderful things can happen. And Danielle, you know what I'm talking about, love, because we know how we communicate like that. So for me, this is one of the most important aspects of our lives, to be able to communicate with the other at a deep level, at a profound level, at a real level, not just at that level of my thoughts against your thoughts, my vision of the world against yours, my power over yours, or my will against yours. Is to be able to really see that person and to really tune in. It's a wonderful feeling to tune into another person. But one more thing that I want, maybe we discuss about that after if you want. But one thing people come to see me with is this oversensitivity when they pick up on people's emotions, but they stick to the negative. That is, everybody that comes towards me has their problem. They start opening up because I have that energy, and they open up, and I take all the negative on me. Well, I want to make sure that this is not what I'm talking about. That direct communication is that direct communication that happens here, not when I'm here and you're here and you bring me down there. So we're both somewhere here, but when we can both go there, there something magical happens. So if you're oversensitive and you pick up on, you are with somebody who's there, your power is to go there and bring them up with you. So this is what I think the key of communication is, being able to establish this rapport, which is very easy to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And also it's just by listening to someone and making them feel like that they are important and that they can be heard, that can really help someone to bring them up, you know, and to understand the place that they're coming from, you know, because so many times people come to us and they literally have no one to speak to, no one to talk to, you know, and it's like they've just closed themselves off emotionally and spiritually and psychologically. They're just completely shut off from the whole world.
Yeah.
And once they've got that allowance, that they have a safe space, that they can speak and just let it all out and just talk and do what they need to do to feel better, you know, that is, it lifts them. You feel it, you see it in them. They've got their resilience, they've got everything that they've been through, you know, that can help, you know, raise them to a point where they can expand and just be one, you know, at that point where they can connect and be heard. And that's one of the most beautiful things out of everything, actually, just to see someone blossom. It really is. I think that's the magic of life. We're so lucky doing what we do, right?
I know. I feel blessed.
I
Yeah, every day I'm grateful for that.
people.
But you know that the thing is, because you say, well, the thing is, when somebody is talking about their negative experience or they express some negative emotions, you know, we are all Pavlov's dogs, right? Without conditioned responses. And so that's also, it can go both ways, in a positive or negative way. Because if somebody, for instance, experiences negative states and they come to see you, they will associate you with their negative states. So that's why it's very good to help them flip from their negative state into a positive. So that's very easy to do. You start asking them, but when did you feel good about that?
Yeah.
Because if you let somebody stay negative, they will go negative, and boy, it can go and they drag you down, and it's not good. But so, I don't know, I felt I feel very sad and I feel this and that. So you can listen for 5 minutes, but then say, okay, but when is it last time that you didn't feel sad?
Yeah,
is it last time that you felt happy? And flip them into that. Yeah. Hearing people doesn't mean to allow them to be as negative as they want to be. You have to help them flip into the positive.
100%. My favorite sentence that I ask anyone ever first is, when wasn't that a problem?
Yeah,
that's my favorite sentence, because it stops people in their tracks and they're like, well, maybe I don't remember. You get a lot of that. I don't remember. Okay, so what do you remember? And then you can kind of like guide it back, and then because your subconscious mind knows everything. It knows everything. What you choose to remember and what we actually do remember is two separate things. So we know everything. We have everything in our catalogue of life. You know, and it's just a question of allowing ourselves to go back to when it wasn't a problem. Was it a problem when you were born? Was it a problem when you were 8, 10, 12? You know, when wasn't it a problem? Okay, so there it wasn't a problem. So it started being a problem there. So what happened there? And then you can deal with that root cause of the situation. It's beautiful. And that's it. Yeah, exactly right, Susanna. Yeah. Oh, I love it. Community.
That reminds me of that reframing reminds me of when I worked with my daughter Lizzie some years ago now for anxiety, for an ongoing underlying low-grade anxiety, kind of a constant low-grade anxiety. And in the first session, I write everything down. And in the first session, I said, when do you do this? And when do you not do this? And she said, oh, before I wake up, before I open my eyes. Well, as soon as I wake up, before I open my eyes. So I wrote that down. And we did the work. And then I saw her the following week. And the following week, we had written down how she wanted it to be and how it was at present. And the following week, we could cross out all of how it used to be, and we could tick, it was now this way. And so I said, so you're finished then, it's all done then? And she said, oh, no, because I could, it's only been a week, she said, I could have a good week. And I said, but I wrote down here, when do you do this? You said before I wake up every morning, there's not really a weak space there. And she just laughed and said, oh no. No, there isn't.
It's in the words, isn't it? It's what we say to ourselves on a daily basis.
It's what we're perceiving, isn't it? It's perception, what we're perceiving.
And communication, self-talk.
Self-talk.
That's it.
And it could happen to me too. I could have been the same. We're not just laughing at her.
No.
Are we? Because it can happen to all of us. We've got this idea, and the facts don't bear it out sometimes, quite often.
It's amazing. No, but I think communication, it actually does start with your self-talk, because it's what you say to yourself on a daily basis, what you truly believe. And it's having the confidence in a situation to be open-minded and to listen and but to also have the strength in who you are and what you believe to stand up for that, and that can take a lot of courage. But if you're very present and don't try and invite in anxiety or fear, and you stay in that present state, and you're really truthfully believing what you believe, that by speaking your truth, it's so powerful. And we all need to do that. We all need to speak our truth. We need to. And it's okay that everyone's not the same. That's all right.
That's why you have to create the environment. When you want to speak your truth, you have to create the environment. Speaking your truth doesn't mean bluntly throw out, your most negative emotion to the other. Because many people think, like, I want to be myself and love for who I am. Yeah, like this, the way you just described it to me, nobody likes to be people. Would you like to be around somebody like this? I don't think so. Yeah. So speaking your truth is, first of all, knowing your truth.
Yeah, of course.
And then knowing how to put it in, as Linda said, put it in personal. You talk about you and about how you feel, not about the other.
That's right.
And the key to that, as I said, it's establishing this rapport, but also talking about them, because everybody likes that. And I use this a lot in my day-to-day experiences, especially when I go to the bank, when I go and I have to interact with someone. I always make a personal remark to that person, and that person opens up right away. Oh my God, lovely earrings, or your hair looks great. And what's your name? Marie-Ange. Ange, oh my God, that's such a wonderful name. I love it. Because people like to be, it's not like.
They like to be significant.
Significant, and this is the sort of, that's how do you call it? A sort of a very, very, pure sort of manipulation. I'm manipulating you into feeling good. If that is bad, I don't know, you tell me. But if I can make you feel good first, then we can have a different kind of conversation. Yeah. And I can get my results. Because if I'm talking to a bank representative and I need to get something from them, they're going to be moody. But if I get there and I say hi, I look them in the eyes and I speak a bit like them, I take a bit their body posture, I assume a little bit of their characteristic. I use their gestures. If they use that, I use that. And then all of a sudden, unconsciously, I like this person. We're biological beings. We like to feel like we belong to the same tribe, because everybody who's from another tribe is dangerous, right? So if I talk a bit like you, if I do the gesture like you do, then unconsciously you already like me. Yeah. And you're already feeling good. And everything will happen after that among us will be better than if we weren't in that state of being tuning to each other.
See, so, a smile costs nothing.
Just a smile costs nothing.
And to smile at someone and they think that they're not even being seen, they feel important.
Yes, I exist. I'm not just a functionary at the bank. I'm a person. I'm a human being. This person sees me and then go back at night and say, oh my God, I had this nice client. She made my day.
Yes.
It's a beautiful, I do that every single person I meet. I do it naturally because I naturally do it. I can't explain why, but I just love people. I love to make people feel better and to feel good and to feel important and to feel noticed and to feel as good as they deserve to feel. And if there is someone with negativity and closed offness, you can't always open them, but them just being noticed, even if you're throwing them love instead of what they're giving out, sometimes that little recognition that someone's done that might make them stop and think. You know, it might
No,
just.
it's not even that. It's just the unconscious. You have to understand that we are functioning. There was this wonderful test that was done. I have to find it. I'll send you both the link to our group. There was this NLP person who studied the direct communication that happens at the unconscious level between two people. And he was doing this type of reading, if you want, listening to a conversation in reverse.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so he noticed that, let's say I'm telling you both now, Linda and Danielle, I love having a conversation with you every Friday, and you record me and you play it reversed. You're gonna hear some words that make sense and probably say, I hate you. You know, if unconsciously I really don't like it, you will hear it by listening to the reverse. If you hear in the reverse love, then you know it's true what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Usually there are some hidden messages when you play a recorded message reverse. This is the most wonderful thing that the most wow thing that I've seen lately.
That's mad.
And so the way he was measuring, he was having two people have a conversation and recording them, of course, and doing some sort of electromagnetic field heartbeat and brain activity measuring on both persons. And so he noticed that when in the recording, there was a subliminal message, right?
Wow.
There was a reaction in the other person's nervous system. So he proved that actually you are hearing, your unconscious mind hears your subliminal message.
Wonderful.
Even if you tell me, I love you, Suzanne, I want to spend with you the rest of my life, what I'll hear unconsciously is, I don't want to be with you.
Whoa, isn't that mad?
So the communication, the real communication happens elsewhere, whatever we're saying.
Yes, absolutely. We know that, don't we? I've assumed, and I think there is an element of this, I've assumed it was all at an energy level. You know, it's what energy you're giving out, not what words you're using, and not what body language you're using, because we can learn to use the right body language, but it's what's actually authentic in you is received by the other person. Always, doesn't it? I worked with someone when I was in my early 20s, and he had warm, sparkly eyes and a smile. He'd always got a smile, and we thought he was nice. We said, yeah, he's really nice. And then there came a situation a couple of years later, a situation that put it to the test. And he behaved really badly towards me.
Oh.
And I thought, we noticed then, you can't trust the smile and the sparkly eyes.
No, it's the energy that...
It's now, we didn't suspect there was any other side to him, so it's not an exact example of it, but certainly you cannot just. But we were young, so we're probably not tuned in enough then. Since then, I've trained and worked as an energy therapist, and I believe you can and you mature, don't you? And everything goes in. There's not much in your unconscious mind, is there, when you're only 20? There's not compared to now. Yeah.
Apart from your past lives, of course, but we can't go into that.
No, we don't want to go there.
We won't go into that today. Not that we should do that one day, though.
We should, yeah.
We should definitely.
But the idea is to stay. I think is to remain curious about the other person, because you learn. This is one of the things that my practice is bringing me continuously, and I'm so grateful for it. My universe expands with each person. Each person is a completely new universe that you learn from. They're doing things that you don't do, and you learn how to do just by being with them. So even the worst person to your eyes has something to give, has something to say, does something right, and you can learn from them. So if you start from this attitude of curiosity, hey, let me see who's this, what? It's a human being, it's a life form, it's the incarnation of the divinity on earth, for God's sake. It's not just another person, it's life itself incarnated in a body. Can you keep that idea in mind when you talk to someone? Can you remain curious about their universe and even those negative things that they leave? You see what happened? That's my trick for not being pulled down into the negativity, because I know they're all holograms. They're all just mental constructs. None of their bad things are real. Of course, when you're in it, you feel different, right, Linda? When you're in there. But as an external observer, you are into that objectivity. You are in that presence.
Yeah.
And you are in that capacity to see that, hey, this is just a mental construct. Beyond that, it's just light. And this was one very nice exercise we learned in NLP as well. I don't know if you remember it, Danielle.
Yeah.
It was when a person talks about their problems. So we were 2 by 2, and one of us was the therapist, the other one was the patient.
Yes.
And the patient had to describe a problem that they're struggling with. And then after the problem was defined, the therapist was asked to imagine, we asked again the patient to give what would be the best vision of themselves in this specific situation. Like what would they like, how they like it to be.
Yeah.
And then the therapist was supposed to create an image of the person free from that problem. Okay. So let's say, Linda, I want to see you like being the best and the most amazing mom, just supporting your daughter through what she's going through and having this. Okay. So if you describe it to me well, I can start imagining you being that person. Okay. Yeah. And then we had to have another conversation in which the person tries to speak again about the problem, while you as a therapist project on them that victorious state, that powerful state. And you know what happens? They can't talk about it. The words don't come out anymore. Yeah. They start laughing, giggling. They say, I don't know, I don't find my words anymore. Because the projection that you are, the image that you're projecting on them is actually stopping them from going into that problem mentally.
I remember.
This is a very, 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 very powerful exercise.
The highest intention.
But it has to be there. See, that's the problem. This is where it doesn't work with others. Let's say I want to focus on my daughter's best version of herself. If it's my version, it will not work. It has to be hers. She has to have a conversation with me and tell me how she would like to be. And I will project that on her.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Because also, you try to make everybody good to your image. You're not God, you're supposed to enable them to reach their best version, their own terms and conditions.
Yeah. What do they look like? What do they smell? What do they feel? What are they wearing?
Not necessarily, no. How would they like to feel? Okay, I feel like down and depressed. The person I was talking to, she was having this pain all over the body, and she was having this image of her getting older and more powerless, and said, okay, how would you like to feel? So I would like to feel being able to move, being able to feel with energy. And I created an image of her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I projected that on her. And then she said, I don't find my words anymore. I can't talk about it anymore.
You were talking about curiosity a second ago. And there's a quote from Roy T. Bennett, which is actually brilliant, right? And it's listen with curiosity, speak with honesty.
Oh, yeah.
With integrity.
Yeah.
The greatest problem with communication is we don't listen to understand. We listen to reply. When we listen with curiosity, we don't listen with the intent to reply. We listen for what's behind the words.
Whoa. It vibrates all over.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Beautiful. So real. So listen, it's been an hour.
It always goes fast, isn't it?
It really has. So I hope that everyone watching it has got value from it and can use some of the techniques that we've discussed today in their daily lives, and any challenging situations that you can just apply some of this to it, and just know that you're not alone and that everyone has days and everyone has conversations and everyone has, challenging things that we're going through, but it's just, we are not our thoughts. We can change. We can create what we want, just by thinking, visualizing, speaking our words, creating that world that we want to live in, and just the ultimate outcome, steering it to that. And I'm going to end by saying, check out everybody's pages, follow Susanna and follow Linda, because they are incredible therapists as well. I'm so grateful to be surrounded by them. And our communication, it just like sorts me completely out on a weekly basis. So I'm very lucky there. And I'm going to end with the quote by William Shakespeare now, which is, there is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. There's nothing either good or bad. Thinking makes it so. So
what a genius.
Isn't it amazing? So lots of love to everyone out there in the world, and we'll see you again. And I'm going to quit my live. You stay there, girlies, and I'll be with you. Hold on, let's stop live stream. I think that is stopping live stream. I think that's,
you can also stop recording.
stop recording.
I guess we're safe.